So you guys remember my buddy Andy Hansen? He's got a Miami GTX build and his W30.
Yep.
Which we featured last year. Andy is visiting Tennessee again. Actually, in our own backyard. This is the what? What is this?
Yeah, the Oldsmobile Nationals in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
Lovely downtown Murfreesboro. Finally put Murfreesboro on the map.
It does. Yes.
With a bunch of Oldsmobiles.
Yes.
And before we go any further, people always ask me, how is the GTX running?
GTX runs great.
Yeah.
It's now our daily driver up at Fort Knox, and
Nice.
burning the rubber off of it, and it's running good.
So this is the Oldsmobile Nationals. Tell us what the Oldsmobile Nationals, because
Yeah, so our yearly event where the club puts together all different classes and judging, and just like all the other marquees, but this is the big Oldsmobile National meet that we hold once a year, and thankfully for the last 2 years it's been here in Murfreesboro, which is an oddity.
yeah, really,
it
of all
allows
the
us to
places
be
in
here.
the world.
Yeah. So usually there's an east, on the East Coast one year, then the kind of the West Coast another year. But just because of COVID and everything else, we've come back to the same place. So thankfully, it's close to home for us, right?
You're gonna win a trophy with this thing.
Yeah, we're going to win our class with this year. So we won last year too, but anyway.
Well,
yes,
I mean,
it's
you're
done
up
well.
against some stiff competition.
Yeah, the only person in the class this year. So,
Oh no!
yeah, I should take first place.
He
But-
slashed their tires on the way over. So
Yeah. But we saw this car last year.
yeah, we did a whole feature on this car last year, and Uncle Kathy will put a link to that video here over Andy. She'll put the link there. Andy, let's walk through this event and tell us some of the stuff we're looking at here. But we're going to go see a different version of this.
Right. We're going to see a race version of this that recreated one of the better champion cars.
I got a preview of this car. You guys are going to love this car. You're going to love this guy. So show us what we got, man.
Yeah, so there's some, really from survivor cars here. This car, this couple bought this car in '74. It's a 1970 and unrestored.
Nice.
W31, so there's the hot 350 motor.
Now the hot 350 motor. What's the story with the hot 350 motor?
Well, it was Oldsmobile's, balanced and blueprinted 350, and it was built to really kind of have a small block that could escape the insurance premiums and what have you. And it was air inducted, just like its big brother, the W30. But this was built on a Cutlass chassis and a Cutlass car, and not on a 442. So when you went to insure it, they were insuring a Cutlass.
What was the compression on this?
Oh, at least 10 and a half.
Yeah,
At least 10
compression
and a
motor.
half.
Yeah, this is beautiful.
This is a very neat car.
I mean, restored cars like yours, I mean, how many owners? But this is just something so honest and earthy about a survivor.
Yeah, we had it since 74.
We've had it since '74.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Original paint.
And you got all years are represented here, right?
Right. A 76 over here.
Look at the 76 over there.
I think so. What I just reading was
Colonnade body was always one of my favorites. Everything's insanely heavy on them. I mean, insanely heavy, but they're just so beautiful.
Right, then we get to the 80s, right? This class here, the 442.
G-body goodness. Now, usually we were here last year, and this was packed, but every spot was filled. A lot of cars. This year, this is Saturday. The event started yesterday. A lot of people have left because of the rain.
Judging was yesterday, a lot of rain, so people are packing up today.
Yeah. These are the real diehards. Andy, what's the deal with these?
Well, so this was the Hurst Olds class, but this 69 Hurst Olds, you can see just how audacious Oldsmobile wanted to make these cars that were, you know, going against GM policy at the time, because the top motor you were supposed to be able to put in the cars was the 400.
Right.
And so Oldsmobile got away with it by sending them off special to be worked on and created so the 455 could go in here. And they did that in 68 and 69, creating the Hurstals. The 68 Hurstals, I think there was 515 about made. 69, more were made, 900 and something like that. 68 was really sedate with a gray, like silver and black paint scheme, and you really wasn't that eye-catching. And then 69, they threw it all out the window.
All out the window.
Here we go.
The hood on these cars has always been like that.
Yes, the mailbox hood scoops. When the regular W30 cars had the air induction coming underneath the bumper, which there's probably one or two of them out here somewhere, and then but here they said no, we're going to put these mailboxes on here and feed air in, and then that became the impetus for the 70 W30.
I guess they put the scoops this far forward to be the boundary deal.
Yeah, I don't know the engineering on it and how they figured, and then they moved them when they went to 70 to 72. Again, they did keep the intakes on the top. You know, I don't know how the aerodynamics actually worked on them. But then that's a 72 Hurstals there, Survivor car.
Not everything is a muscle car. You got some beautiful cutlasses. And
Just a beautiful Cutlass, air-conditioned car, running a 350, and just beautifully restored. The Rally 350 was a neat car too, the yellow one. Everything's yellow, the bumpers, everything. It was again a 350 in it.
yeah, this is one of those cars they did to beat the insurance companies.
And to make it really flashy and relatively cheap, right? So a little bit of a competition for a Roadrunner maybe.
Right.
You know, to get a little bit of the younger crowd.
The budget kamikaze kitty cars is what the insurance companies used to call them.
Yeah. But again, when you went to insure it, you were insuring a Cutlass.
And it's got all the same stuff that the 400 or 455 would have. It's got the fresh air and
Right. So again, this high out. Well, this one wasn't necessarily high output 350, but a 350 motor, and then having the outside air induction package on it. But again, you know, air conditioned car, this and that and the other. You know, just a high option car. And then, yeah, Dr. Olds.
Dr. Olds.
The advertising scheme that came about. I think that came about in 68 or 69.
I think it was in 69.
Yeah,
And then
definitely in 69. I don't know if there was.
Well, it's 1970. That was when Elephant Engine Ernie popped up, right?
Okay.
When they started putting the 455s on them.
Yeah, well, 70, right. The 455 came. Dr. Olds was definitely for the 69 model year, and I just don't know if he was that advertising campaign. It wasn't 68 or not.
Andy, let's go look at this car that we came here to. You guys are gonna love this.
Well, the big cars, you also got to show. Delta
yeah.
88. Where you can fit 7 people in the trunk and go to the drive-in.
Well, you know, as a mechanic in the 70s and the 80s when I was a kid, right? These cars I know so intimately, it's not funny. Like I could rebuild any of these bumper to bumper with my eyes closed. People think of me as a Mopar guy, but this is really what I worked on for the most part.
Of course.
The Mopars were mine, but
yeah, the family wagon was these Delta 88s.
Yep.
Jet
50s
wave.
custom stuff.
Yep.
Well, early 60s.
Yeah, this is probably a 50.
Well, the style is done in the style's done in the early 60s.
Yeah, this dynamic 88s, cool.
I had a 62.
The Starfires, the intricacy of the stamping of the metal just on the hood alone, and the intricacies of the trim work going down the side of the car.
Right,
It's
exactly.
just, 1 or 2 years only, these stampers. And that's not paint down the side, that's the trim.
Yeah, this is they were brushed stainless.
And you've got trim.
Look at this. This is just like, just gorgeous. This is what, a 62, 63?
62.
62. Come here, cat.
The gentleman that owns this car purchased it new. Still a one-owner car.
Look at get a tight shot of that.
You can kind of see how when they went to the Toronado, a little bit of the Toronado front end featured it.
Yeah, and you can leave it there and be out of everyone's way.
Just gorgeous. You know, the guys today, the kids today, right? Like, everybody's a kid to me, right? The people today, they think of the muscle car era, or they think of that classic 60s era, and it's always like, you know, well, Buicks kind of get a pass. People recognize Buicks as being, right?
Yep.
But if it's not a Chevy, or it's not a Plymouth, or it's not, you know what I mean? They don't get it. But Oldsmobile is like right at the cutting edge of all of this stuff.
Yes. Oldsmobile was, really, I don't know if their marketing or their advertising was off, but they could run. That 455 motor was really good, and the early 400 motor was very good.
But if you go even further back than that,
Right, and then 57, the
you go
J2
like the J2s,
motors.
exactly.
Yes. The Rocket 88.
Yep, right at the top of the muscle car food chain at the very beginning of it, but they don't get the credit.
But in 66, Oldsmobile basically said, we're going to go for it. And this is the product of some of this engineering and effort to beat GTOs at the NHRA Nationals.
Okay, so now just to set this up now, your car is an original, and it's an exact restoration. It's a rotisserie, right down to the air in the tires type of restoration.
Correct.
Okay, and this one here is a bit modified, but the same car.
Yes.
Okay.
Same car, same purpose, except they took these cars and the Oldsmobile dealerships, to run them and champion them. And this is one example of that car. The Run to Oldsmobile championed this car, and it was pretty mean. And this is a recreation of that vehicle.
But it's like a really tight recreation. But what I love about this car is that it's NHRA legal. Like, he could take this car to any track and do the thing, and it's all good.
And it still does run on the track.
It still does, right? This guy runs this car. So just like real quick, like this is from the factory.
So this is the same as my car. Batteries in the trunk for weight distribution and to get it out of the way for the outside air induction.
All right, and it's exactly the way the factory set these cars up.
Correct.
And you see there's no sound deadener on the inside. Usually these cars would have a spatter painted trunk.
So actually spatter paint didn't come out till 67.
Oh, okay.
So single color is correct for 66.
Okay.
So a little nuance there. But right, so two-door post car. The carpeting actually weighed less than the rubber mats. So you got to before you get away with it. It's still in it. And now this car is again still set up with today's safety features. So there's a little bit of difference than the original 66 car. But this car is set up to run, and really to keep it as close to as original as possible. And the owner,
Yeah, let's meet the owner.
is coming into frame now.
Joe?
Joe Donnelly.
Joe Donnelly. So how did this car come to be?
Well, the story for me started with 2 articles in Cars magazine in 66 and 67 that described how it ran, and I was impressed with it.
That's the same magazine I used to write for in 85, 86, 87, 88.
Yeah. So go forward a while, I'd had 2 of the factory-built 66 W30s, but I wanted one I could play with, race, drive around, whatever, and not be so valuable and rare.
Right.
So I thought I will build something like I would want one of these cars to be. And a friend of mine, Kurt Anderson, said, well, you've always loved the run car, that's what you should build.
Okay.
I contacted the original racer, said in the magazine article he was studying to be a mortician.
Okay.
I found him on the internet, and for Christmas 2005 he sent me a copy of his scrapbook, and that gave me a lot more information to help me recreate the car exactly as it was.
And you've recreated it exactly. You've made a couple of small deviations so that you can actually take the car and run it.
I have to follow current NHRA rules so I can run it. And back in '07, the original driver, John Molnar, raced it at Beach Bend during the Oldsmobile Nationals. And he said, okay, you proved your point, meaning the car felt exactly like original. And he said, what are you going to do next? I said, if I make it much faster, I'll need a 6-point roll bar. His answer was, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
That's all I needed to hear. So
Now it's
I
got
built
a 6-point.
a chrome moly 6-point bar for it, and proceeded to make it a little faster.
And how fast has this thing gone?
It's gone 1151, and the mile an hour just shy of 119.
Okay, 1151. Now look at this motor. Okay, now you got to bear in mind what he's dealing with here. The stock, low-rise, tri-power intake manifold, regular Rochester 2GC carburetors. I mean, that's impressive by anybody's standards.
You know, we had to keep it looking 66,
Right.
with correct B casting heads, E casting block.
Now, how much work have you done to the heads, or are they just
Well, they've had a good valve job.
any porting?
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. Okay.
And but the goal was that externally at least to be the same. Where the balancer is an SFI approved balancer,
You painted it gold.
I painted it the copper color the engine would have been, except Vance painted them all black.
Okay.
And so that balancer looks like it's for a 455 because it's the only one they offer, but you can rebalance it for the 400.
Right. And I see you've got an aftermarket sending unit for the gauge and everything. So the liquids out of the car.
You're not allowed to have liquids in the cab anymore, so I have electric oil pressure and fuel pressure gauges.
So it's the perfect mix of original and just the little things, all the details that you need to make it legal to go out and run.
And Vance Brady, the original mechanic, had a red distributor cap, so I made sure to do that.
And it's an MSD distributor.
Of course.
Okay.
But you didn't see
But I
that.
didn't see that.
But it's red.
That's all right. That air cleaner, that's W66, W30 only, right?
Yes. There were a couple different versions of it. The first ones were kind of handmade with sandbags after the initial casting in Kirksite dyes, which is a lead-based alloy. And they didn't fit very well, so they had to put a number on the top and the bottom, so when the chrome tops came back, they could mate it to the correct bottom. Then the Illinois air cleaner made this later version that they sold through parts, and it fits better. The reason that one's on the car is that I bought it in 1973 from Danny Lattimore, the super stock racer.
Okay.
And it's the first shroud I ever saw or handled. Now, I was a kid in West Virginia back in '66, and we never saw these things, with one exception. At a drive-in eatery, I saw a burgundy car that sounded right. It had the air intakes, and it left before I could get up the nerve to see the driver. So I was a 17-year-old kid. Well, if you fast forward to 2006, I went to Queen Oldsmobile. That is where they traded, the Vance and John Molnar traded in the run car for a 70 car. And I talked to him. Bo Queen Jr. said, when I explained that car, he said, well, that'd be my dad. He used to put mufflers on his race cars and drive them. So I finally found that car after all those years.
You talked about sound a second ago. Our viewers would not let me get off the hook if we don't hear this thing run.
Oh, we can do that.
Drive it 25 miles.
You got master power on, Joe?
Yeah, I think it is.
Tilt wheel, so when he's coming on, we got to stop like every.
It's not very loud.
It's sweet. That sounds so sweet.
Nice smooth idle.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. What cam is that?
Metal.
Metal cam.
Now, come over the other side. These are all 66 decals. Over here, you can see comp cams, Molly pistons, Jericho tranny, QuickTime Bellhausen, all here.
It's beautiful. 1150s. Now you say that was 1150s with the old motor.
Yeah,
So this is the new motor.
I freshened it up a little bit.
Can this thing see the 10s?
I don't know. It should at least see 11 flat,
11 flats.
somewhere around there, especially if I drive it right.
That sound, everything is just pure 1960s goodness. There's nothing else.
Yeah,
Nothing from the modern era.
There's faster cars out now, but this is the history, and they don't duplicate this sound.
No. Joe, thank you for the tour of your car. Nice
you.
meeting you. Hey, will you send us some video next time you run this thing?
Okay. In fact, you can come to the Olds Club meeting next year, and we expect to have a race there.
Where is that going to be?
We're not sure yet.
Okay. Well, if I can't make it, we'll send. Oh, Andy will know.
Yeah, he'll let you
He's
know.
our Oldsmobile correspondent.
Okay.
Nice meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Andy, what's next for you? Because people are curious. Like, what's Andy going to do next?
Well, I want to take care of preserving the paint on the GTX is one of my next goals. And really, then my job is going to take me to a couple different places, so the cars may be on hold for a little while.
Okay.
But then I think there's going to be a 68 Charger in the mix.
With a Hemi.
With the original, with the Hemi we pulled out of the GTX.
Okay.
That motor's going to go to Ray Barton and get fixed up, and then that Hemi will go into the 68 Charger.
Right. So stay tuned. Well,
We might have to bring it down for tuning. We'll see what happens. Be there for
more
8
Andy
months.
to come. What is it, guys? The Oldsmobile Nationals. This is such a great grouping. You know what I love about this? It's okay. You go to a Mopar event, and it's either a line of late model Challengers and then groupings of like early cars. But this is like every era, everything. You know, if you've got like an '89 Cutlass Sierra, okay, it's like there's a come on in, right? It's like all, right?
That's right.
Oldsmobiles.
Yeah, very good group of people here, and just the love of the Oldsmobiles and the hobby, and great friends that I've met over the years.
I love that car. I love that car. It's perfect. All right, guys, that's it. I'm out of here. I'll see you tomorrow. He'll see you next year.
I'll see you next time.